It's me, Chrissy, again. In my last video, I talked about the history and the science of canning and used it to show how important it is to follow approved recipes. I also showed how the process of canning works. Today, let's explore water bath canning. This is usually advertised as a really safe and accessible way to get involved in canning, and it is. Let's talk about the equipment needed, the process, and some of the delicious things that you can. First, though, let me introduce myself. I'm Chrissy Bernards, the owner of Moon and Hair Collective and Urban Farm here in Oregon. I'm an urban agriculture and homesteading educator, a curriculum developer, and a community herbalist. I grew up on a vegetable farm where I learned how to can and preserve all the food, eat seasonally, and a whole bunch of other sewing and DIY skills. I ran away from the farming lifestyle as soon as I could, but after several years, I felt the pull back to growing food and traditional homemaking. I now use permaculture and regenerative growing methods on my urban homestead here in Oregon, where I teach about urban agriculture, food preservation, cooking on a budget, and seasonal living, and a bunch of other homesteading skills as a medium to introduce people to food systems and sustainability issues. I always love to know the science and history behind the techniques that we use to preserve food so that I understand the safety and the reliability of the process. And then I know which rules are okay to bend or even to break. Make sure you subscribe to my newsletter at the link in the description below so you'll get notified when I put out more videos with valuable homesteading and homemaking information. Okay, let's dig in and get started. There are lots of great reasons to water bath canned foods. Here are just a few. Let's start with the potential financial benefits. Canning allows for bulk purchasing of seasonal produce at lower prices, which should reduce your overall food costs. Then there are also lots of health benefits. Canning provides control over the ingredients, minimizing preservatives and additives that are found in commercially canned goods. By preparing large batches of meals in advance, canning saves time on daily cooking. And also, you know exactly what you're putting into your home canned foods, so you can adjust for preferences and allergies. Canning also efficiently preserves surplus garden produce, minimizing food waste and ensuring year-round access to homegrown foods. And last but not least, it's super empowering to know that you put aside food for your family to eat through the whole year. Okay, let's talk about the equipment that you're going to need for water bath canning. First, you're going to need a canner. For water bath canning, you need a large pot. Yes, you can use any pot that will fit your jars. I have a couple large stock pots that I use. If you're only going to use small jars or do small batches, you can get away with a very small pot. Like 3 jars will fit in an asparagus steaming pot, so that might be a good option for small batch preserving. If you don't have a lot of space, you can also use your pressure canner for a water bath pot. The main issue is that your jars need to fit plus 2 inches of water, plus a little extra for the boiling water to splash around. You will need a rack, however. Something needs to keep the jars from being in direct contact with the bottom, as that will make the jars break. If you purchase an actual water bath canner or a pressure canner, they should come with a rack that fits. This is mine. If you purchase a stock pot, you can use a silicone trivet, a steaming rack, or you can even zip tie some extra rings together. In a pinch, you can even use a double layered towel on the bottom of the pot. A wide mouth funnel is helpful, especially for brines, sauces, and jams and jellies. A jar lifter is great. I actually have 2, but you could just do with 1. If you have large batches of canning, you won't want to wait between the canner loads, so having 2 is really helpful. And obviously, you will need jars, lids, and rings. Okay, let's talk about the processes involved in water bath canning. In order to can food, we must kill or deactivate the microorganisms and spores that may be present on the food. Microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, molds naturally occur on food surfaces due to contact with soil, water, air, and even handling. While many are harmless, some will cause spoilage or illness if not properly controlled during food preservation. In canning, it's important to deactivate and kill these microorganisms to ensure the safety and longevity of the preserved food. There are 3 parts to water bath canning. Heat is very important in water bath canning because it effectively kills or deactivates those harmful microorganisms. The boiling water, 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, ensures that high acid foods like fruits and pickles reach the necessary temperature to deactivate these organisms. The heat also helps create a vacuum seal by driving the air out of the jars, which prevents contamination and spoilage during storage. Without proper heat, the food would not be safely preserved for long-term storage. Another part is acid. Acid is key in water bath canning because it helps prevent harmful bacteria like botulism from growing. Many fruits are naturally acidic, and pickles, for example, are made that way with vinegar. The acid levels work with the boiling water to keep everything safe and shelf stable. Without enough acid, the canning process wouldn't be enough to fully protect the food from spoiling. The last part is sugar. Sugar plays a big role in water bath canning, especially when preserving jams, jellies, and fruits. It helps the fruit hold its shape, texture, and flavor, while also acting as a natural preservative. Sugar actually draws the water out of the food, which makes it harder for bacteria and mold to grow. While some recipes can reduce sugar, you still need the right balance to keep everything safe and tasty. Some fruits may naturally have enough acid to can without sugar. However, at least a low sugar syrup is necessary to maintain the flavor. Without it, it's like the flavor just dissipates into the canning liquid. So why high acid foods? The pH scale measures how acidic or basic a substance is, ranging from 0, very acidic, to 14, very basic, with 7 being neutral. I know that number scale seems really confusing. High acid foods, which are safe for water bath canning, typically have a pH of 4.6 or lower. These include most fruits, pickles, and tomatoes with added acid. Low acid foods with a pH above 4.6, like vegetables and meats, require pressure canning to safely preserve them. The natural acidity in high acid foods, along with the heat from the water bath process, helps to prevent the growth of harmful bacteria, making it a safe method for these types of food. So which foods are naturally high acid? Well, mostly fruits, apples, berries like strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, cherries, citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruits, peaches, pears, pineapples, plums, apricots, cranberries, and rhubarb. And then there are foods that are safely water bath canned with additional acid. All tomato products, salsa, tomatoes, tomato sauce, tomato-based sauces, including ketchup, all need additional acid. Relishes, chutneys, and all of the pickled vegetables, including cucumber pickles, dilly beans, beets, carrots, peppers, onions, you can pickle all of them with additional acid. Here is the water bath canning process. First, we're going to select and prepare the food. Remember that in many cases, you'll be cooking the food prior to canning, and canning is basically cooking it again. So choose the freshest and best produce that you're able to so that it maintains its color and flavor. Prepare your food according to the recipe that you're following. And then prepare your canning equipment. Put the rack in the bottom of your canner. Fill it up with water so that it will reach 2 inches above the jars once they're placed in the canner. Then fill the jars. Use the funnel to clean and fill the jars. Then wipe the rims down, put the lid and the ring on. Make sure the jars are warm before placing them in the canner. If you're pouring a hot brine over cucumbers or pouring a hot sauce or jam into the jars, this is generally not a problem. Process the jars. Place the jars into the filled canner and bring it to a rolling boil. Start the timer once the water has returned to a boil. Then, as you remove the jars from the canner, place them on a towel on the counter or table to cool. Don't touch them for 12 to 18 hours until they're completely cool. The lids may make a popping noise as they seal. It's like a little dopamine hit every time, as you know that your hard work paid off. If a jar didn't seal, store it in the fridge and eat it within a week. If it's a sauce or a jam, though, or something that won't be harmed by being cooked longer, you can just go ahead and reprocess it. After they're completely cool, remove the rings to store them. Okay, next, I'll be back with a tour of your pressure canner and how it all works. So I hopefully will relieve you of any of your fears about pressure canning. And I'll also keep adding more videos about homesteading and homemaking. So make sure to subscribe to my YouTube and to my newsletter in the link in the description so you'll get all the fresh posts and videos.